this usually 2, 3, maybe 4 times. Alright, and then as I get to the top, I'm always just kind of holding. I'm using the edge of my thumb to kind of push the clay into the center and hold it there. As I bring the clay back down, my hands start together at the top. My left hand is in this position. My left hand is in this position until I start to open up the base, right? So my left hand kind of remains in this position even when I'm starting to open, open for the center, right? So pressure coming down is coming at a slight angle. I'm pushing with my right into my left. They come down together, and as I get to about here, I just let my right palm just kind of follow down, continuing to press all the way to the work edge. So again, I'll bring the clay up. Make sure that you're squeezing in, letting that clay get ahead of your hands. And then once the clay starts to work its way up, then you'll follow behind, bringing it all the way to the top. And then I'll bring it back up one more time. And then when I bring it down that third time, I'll just hold it centered. You want to make sure that when you're coming down centering to open, that you open the clay, or you center the clay wide enough, right? You take it wide enough to kind of coincide with whatever that diameter is that you want for your cylinder.
Your left hand.
My left hand? Yeah, I'm pushing the clay down, but I'm keeping pressure here with my left. Obviously not so much. I'm allowing the clay to go down, but I'm keeping some pressure here. And then this time I'm going to go a little bit lower, and then hold the clay here. So I have to center the clay wide enough that, for whatever kind of diameter I want my cylinder to be. Alright. Once I get the clay centered, now I'm going to start opening. I'm going to use my left thumb, and I'm going to use the 2 fingers on my right hand, and I'm going to start to press down in towards the center. Again, remembering to open this in this sort of funnel shape. You're going to have much better success, assuming you're getting the clay centered to begin with, you're going to have much better success keeping the clay centered if you open in this funnel shape. Okay. Check the thickness. Again, if you need to stop the wheel, go ahead and stop the wheel. If you can go directly in the center, you can go ahead and open it. Just kind of run your finger back over that, into the center, over that hole, and that'll usually just close it right up. Alright, so this is the first time my left hand now moves on the inside, right? My fingers go to the inside, my thumb now comes to the outside, and now I'm going to take my fingers, pull them, trying to come as parallel as I can to the work head, so that I'm coming flat, and then when I get about 2/3 of the way across, I'll curl my fingers under, and that's what's going to create the corner. Alright, for any kind of cylindrical form that you're going to make down the road, this is how you're going to open the base. So I'm coming across the floor, and now I just curl under. Alright, but real slow and deliberate. Alright, I always want to move and make any hand movements that I make nice and slow and deliberate. Clean up the floor. To reiterate, it's a lot easier to do this now than once you've raised the walls, so I clean up the floor. And then the last thing I do before I'm ready to start raising the walls is just pull back a little bit at 12 o'clock, and this will just start my cylinder going vertically and prevent it from wanting to flare. Alright? Alright, so now I'm ready to raise the walls. I'm going to move my right hand to the outside. I'm going to try to work between 3 and 4 o'clock. I'm still catching several of you kind of working up here. The minute you start to work up here, your arm kind of comes away, and you just generally tend to have less control over your hands, over your arms. All right, so the kind of tighter, more compact you can keep your body, the better off you'll be. So I'm going to start in right at the base, pressing in. Let that clay start to work its way up, and then as the clay's coming up, follow through all the way up to the rim, and then ease off. All right, don't go all the way up off the top. And you want to try to do this so that you're keeping the walls nice and even in terms of their thickness, right? You don't want to get too thin down in here when you still have a lot of thickness up here. If you do that, then the pressure that you get, the pressure you have to apply as you get to the top, is going to cause that bottom part to either twist or you're just going to pull it off entirely. Right? So once you start your pull, you're going to try to continue all the way to the top. Keep going, try to keep a nice, even, consistent pace all the way up to the top. And then ease off. And make sure you're getting enough water so that your hands aren't going to drag on the clay. And then this is where you're always going to have the most difficulty in moving the clay, is right down here at the base. So I'm just really making sure that I press in, give that clay a chance to move, start to work its way up. All the way through to the rim.
No.
Alright, so I'm going to go one more pass, and then I'll clean up the surface, and then I'll show you how to, I really haven't mentioned a lot about the rim, other than, wanting to clean it up. You want to make sure that it's, somewhat smooth. But I haven't really talked a lot about different types of rims, or how you can approach the rim. Alright, so this time as I'm coming up, I might press out a little bit harder from the inside. Thinking about straightening the walls as I'm coming up. Again, that's much more easily done than it is to try to bring the walls back in, right? Once they start to flare,
Yeah.
it's really difficult, right? And once they start to flare, they go really quickly. Okay, and again, it's about having that, that motion of the wheel going out in an outward direction. Okay, so I haven't left any water on the inside.
I noticed that the thickness of your rim stays the same. Is that what you want?
A thicker rim?
Yeah. No, the thickness of the rim stays the same throughout.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, and again, it's like I can always thin the rim out. Like if I want to change the rim and make it thinner, I can do that. But once you go really thin, and it's really, I'm trying to prevent you from just running off the top, okay? Because what happens when you start to just run off the top, like if you're coming up and you just kind of come to the top, typically that's what winds up happening.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm trying to prevent you from doing that. Okay? Alright, so then this last time I'll go back through with my rib. Again, you don't have to use the rib, but if you want to, you can start trying to clean the surface up with your rib. And getting rid of throw rings. On the wall. Alright, so now I'm gonna show you another kind of way to approach the rim. This time, most of them have just kind of come up, and they've either been just sort of simple. I think I've, maybe had one that just kind of came up and kind of thinned out at the top a little bit. I've left a kind of thicker, more substantial rim. This time what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pinch between my fingers. I'm just going to use these 3 fingers and kind of pinch. With my thumb pressure here, I'm going to use my right hand here just to keep the clay from flaring too much. And then this hand will go just underneath where that rim starts. Just a slightly different rim, slightly different variation on. And then using your wire tool, you're just going to hold it nice and tight, make sure there's no water on the inside, pressing down with your thumbs on the bat, and then come across. And I'm just going to run my sponge here on the lid, just because that edge is starting to look a little bit sharp right in there. Okay. All right. So Monday we'll start trimming. Okay. So hopefully some of you have some pots that are maybe rather hard, and then you can start the trimming. Okay.